guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you guys a bit more about property. I'm aware that it's been quite a while since we've delved into this topic. I get so many questions from you guys still 2 years later asking how I managed to do it, and so I really do love to produce these videos for you guys that are going to help you guys to also get on the property ladder. It doesn't matter what stage you're starting at, it is possible, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about. Today's video is in collaboration with Skipton Building Society, and they have done so much research on this topic. So if you want to know more about what Skipton have found out, as well as how you yourself can get onto the property ladder, this is definitely the right video for you. Now, of course, we know that saving for your first property is really difficult. I myself can vouch for that. So Skipton Building Society did some research, and they found out that 31% of the general public believe that it's going to be virtually impossible for them to buy their own property alone, and that they would need to do it with somebody else, say after getting married, whereas 18% of people believe that they can do it alone. I have done it on my own. So I'm going to take it back 2 years, exactly 2 years, because actually it was this week 2 years ago that I moved in to my home, which I'm in right now. It was difficult, it was exciting, it was frustrating, it was emotional, it was tiring. I just want to share my journey with you guys, how I made it possible for myself and how I navigated through this crazy process, because I always say that it was crazy because it really was crazy. So let's rewind to about 3 years ago, right? So I was already contemplating the idea of buying my first flat. I wasn't living at home, I was living at my aunt's, so it was quite urgent for me to sort of find my own place. And I didn't want to go into renting just because I knew that if I went into renting, I would be using up the savings that I had saved for quite a few years by then. I had been saving and saving and saving since the first job I ever had, which was Sainsbury's, when I turned 16. When I was much younger, of course, I wasn't particularly saving for a flat or a property, but as I got older and finished uni, I had realised that that is the direction and that is the purpose for the savings that I had. Until the time came where I took the plunge to decide to meet with a mortgage broker and discuss my options and see whether I was at a point where I could start looking or if I still needed to carry on saving. I am sure you all know that saving is really difficult, but it is possible to do by yourself. I just think there are a few things that we have to take into consideration, and we really do have to get serious if buying a property is something that we really want to do on our own. Of course, when you're doing it with somebody else, it's still difficult, but it's two people. I think for me it was a matter of, how badly do I want this? Do I really want to sacrifice like some years to get something in the long run that's going to really be beneficial and I can enjoy life afterwards as well, like now? Or do I just want to keep spending the money that I'm earning but then not really having a full-on tangible thing to show for it? Some of the things that really helped me when it came to my saving and keeping on track with my financial stuff was to set up loads of standing orders, which basically means automatically moving money out of your bank account, say the day after you get paid, into special savings accounts and ISAs and that sort of thing. And when I was spending throughout the month, I had already put money away without me manually doing it, because when I manually used to do it, I would dip back into it. And so if it was a standing order, I haven't even seen the money in my account yet. It's just a psychological sort of thing, and it just means less work for you. Another thing that I really think helped me was to label different accounts on my internet banking. House deposit, new bathroom, new kitchen. It was more practical and I could visually see where my money was going, if that makes sense. Another financial thing that I would definitely suggest, which is also practical, is to cut down on certain luxuries. Things that we don't even class as luxury are actually very luxury. Having a morning coffee every single day is a luxury, and I sort of swapped those things out. I started meal prepping, and so I was saving a lot more money and I was being much healthier. And so the money that I would have usually spent each week, like 50 odd pounds on breakfast and lunch and all of that kind of thing, I was able to save and keep in my account. The last thing I want to say about saving as well is to over save. That excess is going to do you so much good, say when you get your first bills, as soon as you move in, you've got letters coming through the door, or when you need to make the place livable. In my situation, which many of you guys know, my flat was not really livable. I had to do so much before I could actually comfortably live here. Another really important thing for me at the time was to make sure that I was clear on what I could financially afford each month. Can I actually afford to make these monthly payments for my mortgage every month alone, including all the bills and the travel into work because I was commuting? One thing that I really suggest is going to your bank or your building society and really having a good chat about your affordability. What can you afford? What mortgage offers are available to you? And what does that equate to each month? So I also want to add that the viewing process is extremely important for anyone buying a property, but especially for somebody that is doing it alone, because you don't really have anyone else's opinion to balance you out. It's generally all about what you think or what you deem to be good for you. Definitely go on viewings with somebody who is less invested than you are, somebody that doesn't have an emotional tie to any of the properties or the situation, somebody that is really going to be honest with you. And for me, that person was my dad. I pretty much dragged my dad all over Essex and Hertfordshire as well to find the perfect property for me. And I probably viewed about 30 plus different properties, and my dad was pretty much with me on all of them. And if he wasn't there on the first viewing, he would be coming with me on the second, if it was even worth going to again. So let's say you've got loads of viewings booked, you've got the perfect person with you going on all of them, and they are giving you great advice, they're steering you towards the right direction, and everything's going well. You need to be organized. I cannot stress this enough. If it's all on you and you're doing this all alone, organization is so key. I got a notebook. You guys know I love a good notebook, and I've stressed this before. I would draw up a little makeshift chart, and I'd put in all of the information of each property so that I had all the information to hand everywhere that I go, every single day, because of course I was looking at properties online when I was at work, I was taking phone calls or calling up to book viewings, and every Saturday was for a viewing. So I needed to have something really tangible: the address, the estate agent details and contact number, how many rooms the property had. In my case, I was looking for a flat, so how many years were on the lease, is it close to a train station? So Skipton Building Society are very aware of our frustrations as first-time buyers. 31% of us actually are frustrated by the idea of all of the paperwork. There is a lot of things to read, a lot of things to sign, a lot of things to get your head round. I found it really frustrating, really overwhelming actually, because constantly my solicitors etc. were sending me new things to read, to sign, to scan back to them. And there are words that I just don't understand. If you've got somebody that you can sort of ask to have a look over this stuff with you and explain any words that you don't really understand, and of course just Google loads of stuff that you don't understand. And then there was like 24% of people that said one of their biggest frustrations was the fact that estate agents would take them to properties that really did not fit their requirements, their budget. My 30 plus amount of properties that I went to view, so many of them were not for me. So many of them I was sort of trusting the estate agent, because I figured if you've taken me to a good one before, surely you would take me to another one. But it doesn't really work like that. Skipton also found that 13% of first-time buyers found it really frustrating having to focus their search. They really hone in terms of the places that they want to live and the places that they're viewing. I definitely experienced that. I bought my property in an area that I really wasn't really sure about, didn't know much about, and actually was like really focused on certain areas in Essex that I just for some reason gravitated towards. How do you then decide exactly where and what's good for you? The first thing for me was the budget. The budget was the main thing that was going to dictate the sort of areas I was going to look at. So I knew that my budget wouldn't cover central London or greater London even. My budget was going to cover outskirts of London. And then I thought, okay, where is closest to some of my family? And so those were the sort of things that I ran through before I decided on certain areas. Are there any really cool things happening in the area in the future? So I know for where I have moved, there are quite a few developments happening. Even though I'm living here, I still wanted to make a really good investment and something that I know I would benefit from in a few years from now. Now, lucky for you guys and not so lucky for me, Skipton Building Society have actually created this really new and innovative scorecard, which is going to help so many first-time buyers decide on where and what properties they choose. And I really wish there was something like this 2 years ago when I was looking. So if you are about to start this amazing, crazy journey of buying your first home, then I would definitely recommend visiting Skipton's website. One, to find out the best way to save. They have so many options for first-time buyers on saving. And number two, to go and download their scorecard, because this is going to be really helpful for you guys when you actually start the process. So lovelies, I hope this video was really helpful for you. So good luck to you all. Please do visit Skipton's website because they have so much helpful tools there and information. And please do email me if you have any questions, if you need any tips. I'm always here to help. Bye!